everyone. I'm Joanne Harris, and this is the first of, I think, 10 little mini seminars that I'm going to do about being a writer and writing. Some of you will know me from Twitter, some of you may not know me from Adam. It doesn't matter. I've been a writer for a long time now. At one point I was quite a bad writer. I got better. I became a part-time writer. Teaching was my full-time job. It was how I earned my money, but I published 3 books as a teacher, and now I'm a full-time writer, and this is where my full-time income comes from. And for whatever reason you've tuned in, you may not want to do this. You may not want to pursue this course at all. You may not want to become a full-time or professional writer, but presumably you have tuned in because you are interested in writing and you would like to learn to do it better. Now, I'm not going to promise you anything. I'm not going to promise that you'll be able to get published or that you'll be able to meet famous people or get boys or girls or whatever, because that's actually not what happens. Sometimes it can happen, but it happens alongside a lot of other things which may or may not happen during a writer's career. So if you've tuned in for that because you want to be rich, because you want to be famous, then probably forget it and go do some nice yoga or something instead, because that will be relaxing and good and it will do you some good. But this is for people who simply want to learn more about writing, to get better at it, and presumably to get wherever they want to be in terms of their writing, whether what you would like to do is to write a novel, to get a novel published, write a convincing first draft, improve your dialogue a bit, just write therapeutically. Maybe you're one of those people who doesn't want an audience at all. You just want to be better at what you do for your own personal satisfaction. All of that's fine. Whatever reason you've tuned in, if you're still here, great. It's great to be here. It's lovely to have you listening. Now, the first of these tutorials, if you want to call them tutorials, is about starting off, because I've been in the business for such a long time, and every time I do a book event, every time I tweet something online, there are people who will come to me going, "Oh, I've really always wanted to write, but I don't quite know how to start. I don't really have the ideas. I don't really have the time." All that's irrelevant. None of that is true. All of that is making excuses. And I know this because I've made as many excuses as any of you have. And I've had to work through them and identify them for what they are. The greatest step you can take as a writer is admitting that you are a writer. It's taken me 20 years to do this. I gave up my day job, I made money writing books, and even then I found myself having to say to people, well, yeah, I'm kind of a writer, in this completely lame, self-deprecating way. I still know professional writers, great writers, who say things like, "Oh, I'm a writer, but I know it's not a proper job." Or, "Oh, I'm a writer, but it's kind of not going down a mine," which is fine, and it's not like going down a mine at all, but then neither is being a gynecologist or a roofer or a professional drama coach. None of those things are like going down a mine. So why would you say about being a writer? Obviously, there is some kind of psychological block there in admitting that you are a writer. So I'm going to say it now. I am Joanne Harris, and I'm a writer. And I want you to say it too, because if you're still here, then you're a writer. You're not a budding writer or an emerging writer or a would-be writer or any of that stuff. All of that is kind of self-deprecating bullshit that gets in the way of you doing what you want to do. You are a writer if you write. So say it now. Say your name. Say, "I'm a writer." Go on, do it. Good. If you didn't do it now. If you didn't do it now, go away. I don't want to talk to you, because you're not going to do what I'm telling you to do. You're not going to admit and give yourself permission to write. You need to do this. Before you put pen to paper, you need to admit that what you're doing is learning to be better at being a writer. Nobody is born good at writing. Nobody is born talented, and nobody is naturally special. I think, in these seminars, what I would like to do is to debunk some of these quite toxic messages that we've all had instilled into us since childhood about writers being special people, special talented people. Yes, there is a certain amount of potential talent there in some people, but actually writers get to be good by writing, by doing lots of writing, and some of it has to be quite bad writing, I suspect, before it gets to be halfway decent writing, and then it becomes good writing, and then it becomes better writing. But the first thing you have to do is give yourself permission, give yourself the mental space to be a writer. Chances are all of you written for pleasure before. If you haven't, well, you can start now. One of the great myths is that there is an age at which it's too late to start. This is quite untrue. Yeah, maybe the book business likes young people. Maybe it likes to celebrate people who wrote their first novel at 16 or 18, but trust me, those first novels are not great because it needs a certain amount of practice and life experience to be good. And so you can start now. You can start at any time. Writing can lead you wherever you want to go. And it's a little bit like exercise. It's a little bit like running. Yeah, look at me. I'm not built like a runner. And yet I run. I was terrible. Most of the time I walked, and then I ran a little bit. And then I ran a little bit more. And finally, with great fear and trepidation, I did a park run. And then I did another one. And I'm still not built like a runner. I will never be a great runner. But I'm not afraid to say, yeah, sometimes I run. That doesn't make me a professional runner. It doesn't make me somebody who's going to win races. But I do it and it's fun. And you can be the same with writing. Whatever the stage of writing you're at, you can always be better. And the first lesson is allowing yourself to take it seriously, to take yourself seriously, to say, I am a writer, to give yourself permission to write. Because I meet people all the time who haven't yet given themselves permission, and they think, well, it's because I'm too old. Forget that. Or, it's because I'm not good enough. Well, of course you're not good enough. You haven't done enough of it. Do more, get better, you will get good enough. People will say, I don't think anybody will want to hear what I've got to say. That's rubbish too. Whatever you are interested in, if you're interested in it, there will be other people who are interested in it. And if you want to share your writing, you want to share your stories, there are all kinds of ways to do this. You don't actually have to do the whole being a professional writer to do that. Whatever goal, whatever objective you have, you can reach it if you do it step by step, word by word. And the first step is giving yourself permission. And this is what I think this first one should be. Think about your writing. Think about what you would like to achieve from your writing. And think about what your writing makes you feel. Because actually, some people, they come into writing and they think, well, I'll do a bit of writing and then the money is going to have to start rolling in and there'll be the movie and I might get to date Johnny Depp or something and they forget that actually the writing has to be central to everything. You have to love writing. If you're listening to this, I'm hoping that it's because you love writing. Tea. You will also probably have to drink a lot of tea because, this is one of the things that writers do. But you have to love writing because the joy will sustain you. Writing is not an easy path to take, even if you don't want to be published, even if you don't particularly want an audience. It's not always easy. But if you feel joy when you do it, then that will sustain you. And if you are going for the whole trying to get published thing, then it will have to sustain you through things like rejections and failed experiments and little bits of heartbreak. And it doesn't matter because if you love it, the joy will sustain you. So hold on to your joy. Give yourself permission to start. And I will see you next time with the next tutorial. Meantime, you can check out my book, which is called 10 Things About Writing, which is available now as an ebook on Kobo, Apple, iTunes. Amazon are taking their time putting it on, but it's there as well. Or you can pre-order the hardback, which is coming out in December, and you can do that now. But if you want to read along with these seminars, then that's fine too. Until then, You're a writer, remember, not a budding writer, not a would-be writer. If you write, you are a writer. You have my permission to start. Nobody can take that away from you. See you next time. Bye-bye.